The bazaar of Caros. 9 was loud enough to make a star go supernova out of annoyance. Engines sputtered. Merchants yelled. Someone in the distance was enthusiastically failing at playing a 3-stringed alien instrument, and I was just trying to buy a spare stabilizer for my shuttle before it fell apart mid-flight and scattered me across the atmosphere like confetti. Simple goals. Sensible goals. And then I saw her. She stood on a cracked platform between a crate of rusted servo arms and a cage full of glow rats, both apparently more valuable than she was. A girl who looked mostly human, except for her long, graceful ears that folded back whenever the merchant barked at her. Her eyes tracked every movement like she expected something terrible at any moment. The price tag hanging from her wrist was so low I first assumed it was a typo. Even junk metal cost more. Special deal. The merchant shouted when he noticed me staring. Barely used. Eats almost nothing. No refunds if she explodes. I blinked. Explodes? He shrugged. Probably not. 80% not. The girl's ears drooped as if that last 20% haunted her dreams. I told myself to walk away, to stick to my plan of keeping a low profile on this dusty excuse for a planet. Then the merchant yanked her forward like she weighed nothing. She didn't cry out, didn't resist. She just shut down, folding inward the way someone does when they've learned that fighting back never works. My stomach twisted. So I said the dumbest, most impulsive thing possible. I'll take her. The merchant grinned, slapped a scanner onto my wrist, and before I could rethink my life choices, the girl was shoved toward me. Congratulations, friend. You bought a warranty-free companion. I didn't want a companion, I muttered, steadying her. I wanted a stabilizer. The merchant tossed me a rusted part that definitely wasn't a stabilizer. Same thing. It wasn't. Not even close. We didn't get 2 steps before a trio of patrolling drones recognized the merchant's cheating as a reportable offense and began firing small but painfully energetic warning bolts in every direction. The merchant dove behind his stall, shouting legal disclaimers that contradicted each other every 5 seconds. I grabbed the girl's hand, light, trembling, and we ran. She moved surprisingly fast, ears fluttering in what might have been panic or aerodynamic assistance. Behind us, a fruit vendor lobbed glowing orbs at the drones, yelling that this was terrible for business. One orb exploded in a puff of purple smoke that smelled disturbingly like burnt jelly. By the time we reached my battered shuttle, the girl was breathing hard, but her eyes were sharp now, alert. I kicked the engine twice, standard procedure, and it sputtered to life. As we lifted off, leaving the chaos below, she finally spoke in a quiet voice that carried more strength than she knew. You shouldn't have bought me. Trust me, I said, strapping in. I didn't plan on it. But here we are, and exploding or not, we're getting out of here. Her long ears twitched. Wariness, confusion, maybe the first flicker of hope. The stars stretched around us like silver threads as the shuttle slipped into dark space, humming in the way machines do when they're trying their absolute best not to fall apart. The girl sat in the co-pilot seat, hands folded tightly in her lap, long ears angled back as if expecting someone to leap out of the void and drag her away. Given my luck, that wasn't impossible. You don't have to sit so stiff, I told her. The seat only bites on Thursdays. One ear flicked in confusion. Is that a joke? Yes, mostly. She stared forward again, but something in her shoulders loosened by a fraction. Small victories counted. We drifted toward the nebula that locals called the Whispering Veil, mostly because its storms sometimes sounded like gossiping ghosts. I had no intention of going into it. My shuttle would disintegrate faster than my bank account, but flying near it scrambled trackers. If anyone was looking for her, this was the safest path. After a long silence, she spoke. Why did you help me? I opened the dashboard panel and pulled out a fried circuit that had given up on life. Because you were being treated like cargo. And because I have a well-documented weakness for terrible decisions. Is helping me terrible? Depends. Do you explode? Her ears twitched in alarm. I don't think so. Great. Then it's only a mildly terrible decision. She watched me as I worked, eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of the nebula. There was intelligence there, sharp, careful, layered with fear. But beneath it, something else was beginning to spark. Curiosity. You said you had abilities, I said casually. Or at least the merchant implied something like that. Energy, something. She hesitated. I can sense fields, currents, patterns, things that move through matter and light. Then, almost apologetically, I don't control them well. That's fine. I don't control my hair well. We all struggle. Her lips moved as if she almost smiled before remembering she wasn't supposed to. The shuttle suddenly beeped in the way that meant, brace for disappointment. I checked the screen. An unregistered signal was closing in behind us. Small, fast, sleek. Definitely not friendly. Someone's following us, I said. Her ears rose sharply, like alert antennae. Do you know who? If I knew, I'd be more dramatic about it. The signal grew closer. My engines coughed, offended by the idea of accelerating. The pursuing ship flashed its lights, 3 short pulses. Coded message. One I recognized. It's a retrieval ship, she whispered, shrinking into her seat. Hey, don't panic, I said quickly. Panicking is my job. The ship veered toward us, preparing a capture beam. The girl pressed her eyes shut, breathing fast. Listen, I said, lowering my voice. If you can sense energy fields, can you disrupt one? I don't know. Well, I said, gripping the controls as the beam aimed at us. This is a great time to find out. She reached out, hesitant, trembling, placing her hand near the console. The air hummed, a quiet vibration that filled the cabin. Her long ears lifted as if catching invisible waves. Light shimmered faintly across her fingertips. The capture beam fired, and then flickered, wavered, collapsed in a sputter of sparks. The pursuing ship swerved, confused. I didn't wait for a second try. Kicking the engine twice, as always, I sent us diving into the edge of the nebula, where scanners failed and chaos was a natural resource. She slumped back, exhausted but glowing faintly with something like pride. You did it, I said. She looked at me, breathless. I didn't think I could. Welcome to the club. Most of my victories are accidents. Her ears finally eased, no longer folded in fear. For the first time, she looked less like someone expecting the universe to crush her, and more like someone wondering what else she might be capable of. The nebula wrapped around us like drifting smoke, glowing in colors that probably violated at least 3 laws of physics. My shuttle groaned as if it were filing a formal complaint, but it held together. Barely. The girl sat beside me, her long ears alert but no longer tight with fear. She'd slept a little, eaten a little, and, most importantly, started to believe a little. Unfortunately, belief didn't do much when the retrieval faction sent an entire patrol into the nebula after us. They're persistent, I muttered as new blips appeared on the scanner. I appreciate effort, but this is excessive. They want me back, she whispered. They always will. Well, that's rude. I flicked a switch that did absolutely nothing. Okay, we need a plan. A real one this time. She looked out at the glowing storms, listening with senses I couldn't see. The nebula currents. They're strong, wild. If I learn to channel them, just for a moment, I might be able to push their ships away. That sounds extremely dangerous. Yes. Great. Let's do it. She took a long breath, then unstrapped and stood in the center of the cabin. Light from the nebula seeped through the windows, casting shimmering reflections across her skin. Her ears lifted, following invisible tides. The air hummed, a deep vibration that resonated in my bones. Outside, the patrol ships streaked closer, bright beams slicing through the shifting clouds. She closed her eyes. The shuttle's lights flickered. Then something bloomed around her, soft at first, then radiant, threads of energy weaving from her fingertips like luminous rivers. The nebula responded as if recognizing her, swirling toward us in spirals of color. A pulse spread outward, not violent, but immense. The first patrol ship hit it and spun sideways like a toy tossed by a bored child. The second veered off, alarms blaring. The third turned tail immediately, pilot probably screaming. She opened her eyes, glowing with faint starlight, and the pulse faded. When it was over, she collapsed to her knees, trembling but smiling, truly smiling, for the first time since I'd met her. "You did it," I said, kneeling beside her. "I didn't destroy anything," she whispered in relief. "I guided it. See? Non-exploding. That's character growth." She laughed. A small, breathy sound that somehow made the entire ridiculous journey worth it. Once we cleared the nebula, the stars opened before us. No patrols, no trackers, no one demanding she be returned. Her abilities had overwhelmed their systems so thoroughly that they wouldn't dare risk another encounter. "So," I said, leaning back in my seat, "where do you want to go now?" "Anywhere in the galaxy, except maybe the places where I owe money." She looked at the endless starlight, her ears relaxed, her posture no longer guarded. "I want to choose my own life, for the first time." "Excellent choice. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. And I would like to stay with you, if you want that." I pretended to think very seriously. "Well, you did save us twice and you haven't exploded. That's a pretty solid resume." Her smile softened. "Thank you for seeing worth in me when no one else ever did." "You were never worthless," I said. "They just didn't know how to look." The shuttle drifted forward, quiet except for the comforting rattle that meant nothing was on fire. Yet, she settled into the seat beside me, closer now, steady now, her ears angled in a calm curve. Together, we headed into open space, two unlikely partners who'd stumbled into each other's lives and somehow changed the shape of them completely. And for the first time in a long time, the future felt wide, bright, and possible.